Hello, hello. This is Adrienne, Capricorntigress of Astrology Elegant Side. And I wanted to come and just briefly chat with everyone because we're getting very close to this full moon coming up in the sign of Taurus. So I've done a little bit of research on this because I wanted to be accurate, and I want to thank Astrology King and some other locations for this information. But I really wanted to give you all the details. And if you hear me wheezing, it's because I'm still getting over what I have. Now, this kind of ties into what I want to say today because I'm very concerned about this because I was born with a Taurus moon. I was born on a full moon, a Taurus moon, and my moon is in the fourth house in the sign of Taurus. It's actually at 17 degrees of Taurus, so it poses my 10th house. But here's the weird thing. This full moon in Taurus is occurring at 27 degrees, right between 27 and 28 degrees, right, of Taurus. My Venus is at 28 degrees of Taurus, or excuse me, of Scorpio. So I'm very concerned about that. But that's not the weirdest thing. The weirdest thing is that I moved here to Seattle and I've been here for 11 years. And in Seattle, my Venus sits on my ascendant at 28 degrees and 58 minutes, which means that this moon in Taurus is going to be sitting on my descendant, but from the sixth house, which means it will definitely be affecting my health. It is a health situation. So I'm already concerned. I've been dealing with an illness for quite some time. I'm double vaccinated, but have been very concerned that I might have picked up COVID, a different strain, or, I'm dealing with a strain of COVID on the vaccination, which they say does happen. And it just comes out as a really yucky um, illness, which I've experienced. And so I'm here to talk about all of this because I think this is actually what I'm most concerned about, and how it affects you may vary, but I know for a fact that the moon or Taurus, you know, this particular moon in Taurus anyway, is specifically going to deal with things like the throat, the neck, the glands, the thyroid, the ability, I guess, to use the throat and neck to breathe. So these are the issues that are going to affect probably everyone because it is in Taurus, and Taurus does roll the neck and throat area. Okay, so with that said, and I've been coughing a lot. It's already, I feel like this, of course, is a culmination, and that's exactly what a full moon is. It's a culmination. So others may be feeling this culmination on top of everything. A algal, the fixed star algal, is actually occurring on this full moon, and it's going to be trying Pluto, which happens to be in my first house. Anyway, I'm freaked out because I've been dealing with the illness and I'm dealing with, maybe this is going to help me to get myself better, but I'm very concerned. So I wanted to come and do this conversation now before, I mean, my voice is actually really good today. My coughing is getting better. I can breathe without it rumbling. That feels so good, right? People take breath for granted, And I'm telling you, this is not the time to take breath for granted. In fact, this particular full moon and the full moon coming up on the 19th of December are forming a just kind of like the trifecta of this. It's creating this actual lunar eclipse, this full eclipse. So I'm going to explain this in detail because they all tie in together. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. One, the full moon is in the sign of Taurus. It happens Friday the 19th of 2021. It is a partial eclipse of the moon, and the eclipse will occur on the so-called micro month. I don't know why they call it that, but that's what it is. This will be the longest partial lunar eclipse since 1440. Yes, I said 1440. And it is the longest until 2669. Yes, I said 2669. So we're in the midst of a very long partial lunar eclipse, okay? So this full moon is in the sign of Taurus, and it matches Algol. Algol. It's the most destructive star in the sky. It causes misfortune, violence, and dare I say, illness, which is what I've been talking about, illness. The spiritual meaning of the full moon in November, it refers to the use of sincerity and faith, a strong purpose, a sense of purpose to evolve and elevate the soul to a higher level. And as mentioned, Algol is the most destructive star in heaven, and it does cause misfortune, violence, and sickness. Normally, that's what to be expected. As mentioned earlier, this lunar eclipse on the 19th of November, together with the solar eclipse of December 4th, which is at 27 degrees of Gemini, they form an eclipse phase that lasts until the solar eclipse on April 30th of 2022. April 30th of 2022. So this full moon in November affects the decade of your natal horoscope. So pay attention to its influence. Okay. So the lunar eclipse can help you access, now this particular one in November can help you access the deepest and darkest parts of the subconscious, exposing them to eliminate fear and heal the trauma of the past. Now, with that said, I mean, like I said, this is going to be affecting my Venus, opposing it. And I'm concerned about that because that's on my first house. So I don't, I'm just wondering how that's all going to play out. We're talking about, for me, this being between the sixth house axis and the 12th house axis, even though it's on the ascendant and descendant. So I'm very concerned about this on a personal level. Also, this is also affecting Jupiter because Jupiter is in a square formation with the full moon on the 19th, and this adds a risk of greed and immorality and irresponsibility. So that is also a major concern to keep in mind. But it's destructive. And it's part of the brutal nature of alcohol, this exaggeration. I mean, it can make the moon in this Jupiter square, it can make us hopeful, it can make us enthusiastic, but exaggerated emotional reactions and impulses can bring carelessness, irresponsibility, and excessiveness and loss due to maybe blind faith and overconfidence, maybe greed, overreaching, immorality, being irresponsible, destructive. Now, this lunar eclipse is also trying Pluto in Capricorn. And that encourages positive transformation and spiritual evolution because it's positive, because it's a trine. So we've got a negative aspect coming and a positive aspect coming. And it really depends on where Jupiter, this transiting Jupiter in Aquarius and this transiting Pluto in Capricorn are happening in your own horoscope chart. Now, for me, I kid you not, they both are falling in my first house. So it is again affecting me personally. And again, I'm dealing with the health because it's falling in in Seattle anyway, in the sixth house of health. And in my natal chart, in the fourth house of endings. I am not trying to die here. So I've gotten to, I jumped to conclusions, but just so that you know, this is very serious. Alcohol is a very destructive, brutal, uh, fixed planet. So anyway, the lunar eclipse in November, it reveals your repressed emotions and memories. So this could bring up some repression, some issues that you might be dealing with from that aspect. Also, it helps to bring things into life. Using your imagination and patience and lots of hard work, it gives stability and a balance to help you feel more safe. The combination of Algol and Pluto, it gives access to the deepest, darkest parts of our subconscious, encouraging them to eliminate fear and heal the trauma of the past. So I wonder how many of you are going to be dealing with this trauma. I know I personally have already started to feel this. Like I had posted somewhere where someone had said to me, "Oh, you look like you're still fat." And I thought, am I ever going to get over this being fat? Because I was severely morbidly obese. I was 500 pounds in a wheelchair, almost, I had type 2 diabetes. I feel like I almost died. And it's been almost 8 years now that I've lost the significant amount of weight. 300 pounds is a significant amount of weight. I've never gotten back over 300 pounds, 400 pounds, 500 pounds. I've never gone back into those numbers. And so this has been a major, major, major life change. And of course, I believe it all happened when Pluto hit my first house, or thereabouts, like my son, my first house, and it created this amazing change. And Pluto has the ability to create amazing change. It's known for its transformational qualities. And so this trine to this full moon is going to bring out these transformational qualities, I think, for a lot of people, especially if we go into this with honesty and faith and a strong purpose, and just using our spiritual awareness and just using that Pluto and Jupiter for its most positive and not negative. Because an eclipse is likely to have a detrimental effect on this coronavirus pandemic. And that was something that was written about. I forget which one had said that, but it most likely will have a detrimental effect on the coronavirus pandemic. And because alcohol is also linked to genetics, mutation, and evolution. And the coronavirus is going to continue to develop through new variants. So if it proves resistant to current vaccines, then more diseases and deaths will follow. And this is what concerns me. As I said, I've been battling something since September or October at least. It's been really bad all of November. And I just wonder because I'm double vaccinated. So this may be a concern. This may be something that comes out maybe in the news and they make a big deal about it because this is a change coming. This is all going to show up here. Now, alcohol belongs to the constellation Perseus. I hope I'm saying that right, which is associated with events that affect a large number of people, especially those events caused by large meteorological phenomena. In other words, this could affect or influence a lot of people. especially if we find out something about, the coronavirus. The influence is because of this fixed star algol. We may be dealing with, the most dangerous of fixed stars there is. It's known to be the most dangerous, and it causes misfortune, extremism, brutality, violence, mafia violence, even illness, death. And with the moon in particular, alcohol causes extreme illnesses, accidents, and severe injuries. Do you understand why I am concerned because of this illness? Anyway, the constellation of Perseus gives an intelligent, strong, bold, and adventurous nature, but a tendency to lie. And the constellation is indicative of events that affect a large number of people, especially, something that everybody is experiencing, like coronavirus, right? Uh, so anyway, alcohol is also found to give very characteristic facial and hair features, especially if it's affecting your face or your body or your health. High spiritual rays also come out of alcohol, but they can only be received by those human beings who have already reached a high spiritual development. Even then, it must be noted that these individuals will have difficulties and obstacles in their path that they must invest a lot of energy to overcome, the shortcomings. If their endeavors fail, strong counterforces and hostilities will be present. And I am very concerned about that because, as I mentioned, this is all around my sixth and seventh house, that descendant, which is at 28 degrees here in Seattle. So, very concerned about that. Now, the Saturn influence, Saturn is affecting this too. There is some influence of Saturn. And this is because alcohol really kind of vibes with that Saturn anyway. Jupiter and Saturn is really important here. But it's strongly felt and in many cases catastrophic. Primitive people, low level consciousness in people, and a tendency toward brutality and violence in people. Also, the seventh house influence is here, and those who have it, I happen to have, the seventh house influence because of my Seattle placement. But the fixed star algol has the nature of Jupiter, but it also has a long tradition of troublemakers. So it's said that it's unfortunate, it's violent, it's dangerous. It might be the most dangerous in the sky. So, it almost takes on a perverse nature of, Jupiter, which is normally very positive and upbeat and, you know, happy go lucky. But I feel like in this situation, it's almost like it's too much heat because, it's naturally ruled by Sagittarius, rules Sagittarius, but it's going to feel like it's too much and extreme actions. And it actually will nullify all the useful qualities that you can find in Jupiter because it's going to be over the top. So if you find yourself going over the top, I would say starting as early as the 17th, because really we're going to begin to feel this influence, and the moon is going to look full starting on Wednesday the 17th. So as early as the 17th and through, say, the 22nd or 23rd, we're really going to be feeling this. Really, I think from the 17th to 22nd, really feeling it. Um, but just know that it's going to affect a lot. Now, the transit, how is the transit of Uranus and Taurus going to be affected by this? The fixed star algol is the nature of Saturn and Jupiter. It causes misfortune, violence, beheading, hanging, electric shock, mafia violence, and it gives a persistent and violent nature that causes death to the native or others in the most sinister way. It's the most sinister star in the sky. It's malefic, it's dangerous, and it's sinister. So that's a lot. This lunar eclipse on November 19th at 27 degrees of Taurus aligns with the fixed star Algol, which is at 28 degrees of Taurus. And Algol represents the head of Gorgon Medusa, who killed Perseus. And the moon in conjunction with alcohol gives a violent death, extreme illness. It's difficult to avoid accidents and serious illness and injuries with this. Okay, so um, if you've got something, if this is happening in the eighth house or something, you'll feel like if I lose, then I lose everything. So you might have this fight to the death vibe going on because it's over the top. So watch out for that. But it could provide some stability and balance that make you feel safe if it's happening in your eighth house. It could make you feel very sensitive or tense about conflict situations. Also, there's some oscillation between achievement and satisfaction, between giving and taking, between work and private life. New things are constantly being learned so that what is possible is immediately put into action. Now, this opposition, because it's a natural opposition, this full moon, sun versus the moon, it shows a strong either or attitude. So a lot of us might be in that either or, black or white, right or wrong, good or bad. All of that could be happening. For example, you might switch suddenly from approval to disapproval. Like maybe up until this full moon lunar eclipse, you felt a certain way about something, but suddenly you're going to, maybe flip the switch suddenly because it gives a strong orientation to achievement and it attaches more importance to acquisition of material goods and and your creation of form than to communication. So it's all about achieving things, getting things, especially if you're dealing with it falling in somewhere like the second or eighth house or 10th and house like it is for me. I'm really concerned about this. It's opposing my 10th house. So Venus, it could affect fertility and conception and pregnancy. The lunar trine, it brings emotional sensitivity, heightened psychic perception, because it's Pluto trine this lunar moon. And so you'll feel things stronger. You'll probably be transformed by intense emotional reactions. And the moon in Pluto brings emotional sensitivity, psychic perception. You'll feel things more powerfully. You'll feel transformed. There'll be a subconscious urge to evolve at an emotional level. And maybe because of Jupiter, it might have an urge to expand your horizons. It helps you focus your energy and grow in a direction that best aligns with your karmic destiny. The subconscious urge is to develop on an emotional level and expand. And so anyway, it's a very psychic or it's a karmic connection here. There could be some mood swings, a change in your taste. It could cause some relationships because you might want to change your relationship, right? Disloyalty could be likely shame or scandal. Someone if exposed, a tendency to lower your standards if you're in an entertainment phase, if you are open to that kind of disloyalty. And it could just have some unfavorable aspects, because of the Venus and Pluto. Now, the moon's qualities of emotion and instinct reach their peak in the lunar eclipse. So use that increased emotional intuition and strength to overcome all the challenges you have in your relationships. Because you'll need to have an impartial view of your personal relationships and clearly see any relationship dynamic or negative feelings that cause discord. Um, Give me a second. I need to get some liquid. Hold on. I only meant to talk for about 5 minutes, but I kept running my mouth. And as I said, I'm not at my best. So and I had a lot to say here because this is a major lunar eclipse moon here. So I really wanted to go over this. Anyway, we're just about done. I just wanted to say that It allows for impartial and balanced view of your personal relationships. This might be a good time to really clearly see the relationship. Even if you see the negative things in it, it's best to see what's there, not to cause an argument or anything, but because you want to see what's there. You can clear baggage. This is the best time. This lunar eclipse is going to help us clear baggage from the last 6 months and allow us to reset. So, if you need that reset, if you need to let go of what's not working, this might be the time to do it, to deal with that. And don't forget that alcohol is a seductive demon. Remember, it's the most destructive star in the sky. So, whatever you do between the 17th and 23rd or 17th and 22nd, just make sure that it's positive, because the fixed star algol, is of the nature of Saturn and Jupiter, and it causes misfortune and violence and decapitation and hanging and electrocution and mob violence and dog violent nature. It can cause death if you're going to be violent. So, it might pull out a gun or a knife and suddenly take you out. It's the most evil star in the heavens. Okay. So this fixed star alcohol has the nature of Jupiter, but it's been known to be a troublemaker. Remember this. This is a troublemaker. Wherever it's happening, even though it's happening in near my seventh house, or I'm really concerned about that. But no matter where it is, watch out for extremist actions and know that you're dealing with the most horrific, most violent evil star in the heaven. Okay, let's never forget that. Okay, so just wanted to say this last thing here is that like an ordinary full moon, but this is going to be a lot stronger than an ordinary full moon. And we all know that ordinarily full moons can cause people to do crazy things, like jump out of buildings, cause fight, commit suicide. So imagine with this evil alcohol sitting on it and the square to Jupiter, what's about to go down. So just be aware from the 17th to the 22nd that anything like that could occur. Watch your health, take care of yourself, drink lots of liquids, get lots of rest. Don't do anything that could harm your throat, your neck, your head, your glands, your thyroid. If you have a thyroid condition, stay on top of it. And also, I think that this moon will also put our family and our home life into focus, because especially someone like me, that it's literally happening in my natal fourth house, but it'll put the focus on family and home. So keep an eye on your loved ones, your close intimate relationships, your family, your home. Make sure they're all safe and taken care of. Also, the opposing forces such as work versus home, or me versus my relationship, all of this, like what you need versus what you want. It can create internal tension and external pressures, and that can lead to conflicts and crises that drain your energy. So watch your energy. Make sure you don't forget that we're dealing with the most evil star in the heavens. Okay, this full moon is not going to be the most positive, happy full moon. And if you go into it with that knowledge, it'll help you to be safe. Okay. All right, this is what Capricorntigress of astrologyaLookInside.com had to share with you. And I give thanks to Astrology King and all other locations that I found this information. And I want to invite you all to join me at gregarious.flixters.com, where I have lots of astrology information. You can also find me on YouTube at youtube.com/astrologyaLookInside. Don't forget to go to our website at astrologyaLookInside.com, and you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/astrologyaLookInside and instagram.com/astrologyaLookInside. And remember to join our group, which is facebook.com/groups/astrologyaLookInside. You're all invited. Finally, you can find me on TikTok at Astrology a Look Ins, INS. Okay, this has been Adrian, Capricorntigress. Many blessings to you all, and happy solar full moon eclipse in Taurus.